Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The real tournament begins here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Only 8 teams remain, a single elimination bracket from now to the end of the tournament to determine the champion. How did we get to this point? Dashy reacting as well to the fact that he managed to withhold the potential trash talk he was going to come out with after their series victory yesterday against the Ravens. How will they fare against Cloud9, the team they played in the grand finals just a couple of weeks ago at Champs? Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate, as I say, plenty to get into. Firstly, this was a really cool story, I thought, for aBeZy. Well, sad, and then it turned around big time because aBeZy, of course, was here with Gentle Mates, helping coaching that team. And over the last couple of seasons, after aBeZy was, of course, coach for Toronto, then coach for Gorillas, now it's obviously been difficult. And as he says, love the passion of being in challenges this year, but I just won't be able to do it next year unless, obviously, he can get a CDL opportunity. It's just not going to work, right? He's got bills to pay. He's got, things he wants to do and try and achieve. So, as he says, hopefully an opportunity arises. My life's been COD since the end of 14. Hopefully it's not the end of the journey. And then we got this from Exposed, of course, content creator over on Kick, and he hits the quote tweet and says, I got you covered, bro, for the entire year. I've got your bill, so you can keep doing whatever what you love to do. So I thought this was really great to see, to be honest. And look, aBeZy may well get an opportunity back in the league anyway, but if he doesn't, this is, of course, there. And I just thought some pretty heartwarming stuff here to crack on with the video. We did, of course, have yesterday a couple of other games that I couldn't quite cover in yesterday's video. We did have Gentle Mates, of course, bow out of the tournament, though. Cobra is clearly a talented player. The feeling is that maybe he will get into the league next year. Whether he'll come in alongside another French player, that's kind of the general theory right now, that quite possibly a team like the Seattle Surge or even possibly the Minnesota Rocker, right? Because they have, well, aBeZy and Linz respectively. aBeZy aBeZy on Surge, and then of course, okay, it's Vancouver now, and then Linz over on Rocker. I think the Rocker thing is the more likely one to me, just because it's G2. We don't really know what they're thinking there, but you would expect Linz will probably stay. And if he does, then, you've got to think that maybe another French player who Linz has had experience with might be the way to go. But it's not like they had the best performance this tournament, really. I mean, they came top 12 in the end, which is, not bad. I mean, none of the Challengers teams made it out of the groups, not least, of course, the Stallions, who were pretty atrocious, to be honest. Like, they played Boston here, but this is a Boston team that is, I guess, a pro team because it's a pro league team. But this is a brand new roster, which is effectively full of players that were in challenges a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, really. Cammy, Awakening, Purge, and Snoopy's the team, but honestly, they handle business. Seemingly another classic case here, really, of challenger teams. They come into the tournament, they say, oh, we need more Prime tournaments. I'm in favour of more Primes. Like, I'm in favour of more matches between pro teams and amateur teams. But, everyone who didn't watch back in the CWL days maybe won't know that this is what would happen all the time. The team that was theoretically the pro team and the team that was the challenger team, 95% of the time the pro team would win. And we've pretty much seen that again this tournament, even with a Boston team, which, is an interesting roster. Cammy played well. Snoopy's actually been really pretty good in the last couple of series they've played as well. So, yeah, maybe Purge is the factor. I think, Awakening and Cammy had good series here, but Purge does seem to have definitely a trend, right? Whether it's a coincidence or a correlation, I would say it's more likely that there is some sort of correlation here, that Purge comes into these rosters and his SMG duo and just his teams in general seem more competitive than when they are without him. But the Stallions just played some pretty woeful COD again, to be honest. And, the FaZe Black team, of course, bow out of the tournament. So even the official Esports World Cup account is clouding on them here and saying that the Stallions, well, they didn't really show up as they might have liked to exactly. Obviously, Boston with a 3-0 win, advancing to bracket play. That's a nice result for them. Who knows if they can get the upset over? I think it's going to be Atlanta FaZe today. Seems unlikely, but we'll get into that in a second. Doug, of course, we believe had some say in forming this team. And, let's say they go out to FaZe today. Have they done enough to show that this roster of 4 is the roster they should go into next season with? If they even still exist as a franchise, that's the other question entirely, right? I mean, look, Boston are still tweeting about their results, so maybe they are back after all, after the rumours the other day. And obviously Purge was responding to the haters here to some degree. It's a good result, of course, for Boston. The other series was Heretics taking down Law, another 3-0. I mean, it was really Joe Thieves and Nasty who had great series here. Joe Thieves especially was doing absolutely everything on the final high-rise to get them over the line. So impressed by him. I honestly think this one series, yes, it was against a challenger team, but I genuinely think if I'm Thieves, I'm looking at Joe Deceives there and I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way I can get rid of this guy in the off-season. There just isn't, especially from like, okay, he was using the AR on that map, but especially for someone who's in the SMG role, there isn't really anyone you can sign out there that will guaranteed do a better job, unless you're going to poach someone from a top 4 team. So I think realistically, Ghosty and Joe Deceives should stay. I like Nasty as well. I think Krem's also a solid player, but I think that Thieves may have to consider, let's say they go out of the tournament today, they've probably got to consider like a 2-man move probably. But yeah, Law Gaming, the Challengers champions, didn't put up much of a fight here, to be honest. The game 1 was bad. To be fair, they could have won both the Invasion and the High Rise, but it just wasn't to be. And of course, that's RCT's team where it's bowing out of the tournament. So as RCT says, you know, wild ride wraps up the year. To be fair though, winning even one series means that these guys, instead of getting 20k for last place over the team, they get 40k. So 10 racks each for, you know, turning up and making it to the Friday. I guess that ain't a bad result, really, all things considered. But look, as RCT says, this wasn't the goal to bow out and not make it through to the bracket play. But in the end, none of the teams who were the Challengers rosters, as expected, really, made it through to the bracket. But it does mean that today we have series that are more challenging to call, and we'll get onto them in a second. Quick response here from Nadeshot. Obviously, to some degree here, Nadeshot's having a bit of a laugh, but the joke is that Ghosty, without the Papania, isn't quite as well locked in as he might be otherwise when he's typically been on that grind out there in Los Angeles. And, well, clearly Nature has some opinions on the FaZe tweet that we see right about here.
You know we couldn't smoke it. EWC, brother. We know. Because y'all motherfuckers smoked all that shit at Champs. You ain't left a gram, a seed, a stem, papers. Y'all smoked all the fucking weed. I know we ain't getting chirped by 5th, 6th, 7th. I don't even know what you guys placed at Champs, but I know it wasn't good. Take care.
Apparently, Insight got a warning for chirping.
The predecessor trying to deliver, but
he got a warning. They teed him up.
Delivering the
No way.
They teed him up.
They're in the zone.
Jamie.
They're damaged.
Come on, baby! Fucking wake up! Wake up!
The other reaction, though, was to some of this competitive etiquette, as it were, and exactly how the players have been responding to it. We saw before the tournament, the players are meant to uphold good sportsmanship and integrity and stuff like this, and I expected there to be a little bit more of that on show from the pro players, but I didn't expect it to be, and I don't think it really is, massively enforced, although it clearly is to some degree, because we'll see that in a second. As I say, there were rumours that Exceed had some sort of warning, and apparently it's not just Exceed, as we'll see here for you guys in a second. Actually, I probably already shared the clip on Scump talking about Insight, so we'll discuss that right about now. This, by the way, is just a quick look at what the guys have set up here, right? So this is not at the venue, this is at the hotel. So the hotel is a bit of a trek, I think, for the players away from the venue, which is why things this weekend are a bit complicated. Like, let's say you want to get an interview with a pro, or you want to bring a pro onto the watch party, which we've tried to do on a couple of occasions. The pros come out of the venue, which is just across the street from where we are, so you think it'd be easy. But then they get like a golf cart, or golf buggy, whatever, like this thing that takes them back to the player lounge. And from there, they then will get a shuttle back to their hotel, but they have to get the shuttle together, right? So you can't just go and grab one player and bring him to the couch and the watch party to have a chat for like 20, 30 minutes, because the rest of the team is probably going to want to go back. So, you know, there's a few complicating factors for how this weekend works from a content, from a media perspective, and probably some lessons to learn for, you know, future years when they're going to run this event. But, you know, you guys can see what's going on here. They have their own, like, scrum room. I'm pretty sure all the teams have something like this. And then, of course, they travel to the event. This is where there's the boys nearby, kind of like the player lounge type area around the Boulevard City, nearby where the venue is, all that type of stuff. So yeah, cool to see the content coming out here behind the scenes and the players. Of course, OpTic going to be action once again today. Yesterday, though, there was a bit of controversy with the OpTic boys in this particular moment, where Pred stood up and made it clear that Fellow had dropped 6 kills in the preceding control when they then went on to win the map 4. Dashy afterwards was basically sitting there saying, oh, you know, please, let's be careful, right, with what you say. So obviously, as Dashy says, I want to flame these kids so hard, hold back, and he manages to keep the composure in. So as he says, typical discipline for me to hold back and not talk to trash that I was going to. I just wonder, like, what the repercussions actually would be, right? And, like, in an ideal world, I don't think we'd have any kind of restrictions like this. I like the trash talk, it is what it is. And obviously there's been talk about the event, you know, this kind of, well, the event in many ways is spectacular, but obviously it's not like there's a crazy crowd and atmosphere and everything there in the venue. Some sort of restrictions on what the players can say, stuff like this, and yeah, it'd be interesting to think what it would be like watching this from home rather than actually, of course, being here in person. But yeah, Dash is like, look, I've got to hold back. I do just wonder, right, like, if the players went further than this, because Insight didn't really say much, I thought, in this clip, but he did say, you know, he did chirp a little bit. What's, you know, if you get a warning, what's the second offence, right? What sort of punishment do you get? Like, are we talking about getting kicked out of the tournament? Are we talking about some sort of fine? Like, is there a second or a third warning potentially as well? I don't know. I'm sure the players are going to try not to find out, but it was interesting nonetheless. Of course, you know, the Thieves boys, they're pretty confident their media training with Kremp has actually worked exactly as they planned it. But let's talk about the matches, of course, for today, because 4 games today with massive implications at that. OpTic play Cloud9. That is the last game of the day. So doesn't matter who runs the tournament. The reality is the same, that the OpTic boys will play dead last, and that's what we see again today. So today is the 4 quarterfinals, single elimination tournament. Tomorrow then is the 2 semis, and then the grand final of the entire thing. So this is the plan, and these are the matches in order. They effectively go in order of, like, you know, most to least interesting, or least to most interesting maybe. Apart from, I guess, I would potentially swap FaZe and Boston to be the first game if I was doing it like that. But Surge Ravens. Surge should be the favourites here, right? They've just taken down Cloud9 earlier in the weekends to get through even to this point. Ravens have looked good against Vegas, but not really much else. And, you know, they were competitive against OpTic, but only in, like, one map. The rest of the series was relatively comfortable. Surge, therefore, I would say are the favourites here. I think I'll probably take a Surge 3-1 or something, but this could go either way. But if Surge win it, I mean, one of Surge or Carolina is going to get top 4 this event. Because, as I say, it is a single elimination tournament. And, you know, who knows if they could get top 2, because the winner of this plays the winner of Toronto and Thieves. So, you know, and that is probably the more winnable series on that side of the bracket. So, you know, it's plausible that one of these teams makes the grand final here. And if there's any format in which to do it, this is probably the format with the single elim. FaZe, I'd very much expect them to handle business against Boston. They've looked really good so far. Rumour has it as well in practice over the last couple of weeks. They really turned a corner with their roster, and some of that behind-the-scenes drama has been resolved. So, you know, that makes it seem like FaZe, if they do continue to do well at this tournament, secure grand finals placing, maybe if they have to beat OpTic or Cloud9 to get there, win the entire thing, they might well stick out their roster. But who knows, could it be a FaZe Ultra final? That's on the cards potentially. Ultra then play Thieves. I think that Toronto are playing better than Thieves right now. I feel like Toronto are due a decent tournament run, and, you know, to be honest, that's what I expect to occur. I think that Thieves are still pretty good, but I genuinely think that whole Ghosty Papani thing probably has had some effect on the situation. So I don't think they're quite the team that they were at Champ, shall we say, but yeah, we'll see on that one. And then the big one, really, OpTic versus Cloud9 to the rematch of the World Championship Grand Final just a few weeks ago in Dallas, Texas. It's here again, this time at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So OpTic should be favoured here, right? They beat them before. Do, you know, Cloud9 have a bit of a mental block against them? I don't know. And OpTic have played really well, I think, so far this weekend. Better on average than Cloud9 have. So I think I'm taking OpTic in probably a 3-1, but I think it could be a really close series again. I mean, it was kind of to some degree at the Champs Grand Finals. This time it's a different saga. But the winner of that then probably plays FaZe. So mega bracket upcoming. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.